Hey everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm doing a book to movie adaptation review. The book is Pet Sematary, which I posted earlier on my channel recently, and today's review is on the movie adaptation of Pet Sematary in the same name as well. I'll give a quick synopsis of the book and the movie. So basically, there is a doctor called Lewis Creed, and he is relocated to a small town in Maine called Ludlow. He moves there with his wife and two young kids, and I believe the names are Ellie and Gage. And when they move there, the first day they move there, they meet their neighbor Judd, and Judd warns them that between their house, they live across the street from each other. It's not just a street, but it's actually a highway where lots of truckers that go back and forth. And because of that, lots of pets get lost due to being hit by a truck. So nearby Lewis's family's new home, there is a path that goes to the Pet Sematary. If you're wondering why it's spelled cemetery with an S, it's because the cemetery is, I guess, created or the sign was made by kids, because lots of kids probably bury their pets because they're hit by the trucks. So it's kind of like a play on the word cemetery, but I also feel it gives like an extra like creepy feeling because S Satan, that kind of stuff. So basically, Lewis and his family settle in, and then he is assigned to work at the local university hospital. And his first day at the job, a student is dead. The student is carried to the hospital. He is basically dead upon arrival because you can see and you can read in the book and also in the movie, like his brain is really exposed. So as Lewis is treating this patient, the patient comes alive and gives him like a warning, which doesn't really make a lot of sense except that the patient knew Lewis's name. So Lewis that night in bed, he wakes up and he sees the patient at his bedroom door, and the patient Pascal tells Lewis to follow him and leads him to the pet cemetery. And he goes, "You must not pass like over there. There's like a big deadfall." And he's like, "If you pass, it's a point of no return." Lewis believes this is a dream. However, the next day when he wakes up in his own bed, when he takes off the sheets, his feet is riddled with mud and like thorns and like sticks and stuff. So clearly it happened. And that's kind of like the premise of the book. And basically, things start going like weird around him. I guess without spoiling too much, the first conflict that happens is their pet cat, Church, gets hit by a truck. And then he's taken to a pet cemetery, and that's where I'll end the synopsis of the movie and the book. I want to preface that today my movie adaptation review is for the original movie that adapted from the book, which was 1989, Pet Sematary. I do want to say that because there has been a remake of that in 2019, which I think is really cool 30 years later. And I also want to say that from a 1989 original movie adaptation, there's actually also Pet Sematary 2 that I think came out in the 1990s. So today's book to movie adaptation review is for the 1989 original movie adaptation. So to refresh your memory, if you saw my book review, I gave that book a 5 out of 5. It was my first Stephen King book as an adult, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I heard that Pet Sematary is ranked really high among Stephen King fans, so I'm kind of ready for disappointment when I choose, or if I choose, I probably will continue reading Stephen King books. I was really wrapped into his writing. So I want to say that my book review was a 5 out of 5. For me, as a movie adaptation goes, I'll give it a 5 out of 5 as well. As a standalone movie, I personally gave it a 4 out of 5. Only because I am reviewing it now in 2022, and I think a lot of the horror and special effects and like effects like that doesn't age well. It kind of comes off as cheesy, but I feel if I watched it in 1989, it would have a different feel. So as a movie, as a standalone, it's a 4 out of 5. And to be honest, it's probably more of a 3 out of 5, but I give it a 4 because it's kind of campy because the way it aged, I really enjoyed that. On Rotten Tomatoes, this movie got 51%. On IMDb, it got 6.5 out of 10. On Google, from users, it got an average of 81%. So I have 4 categories when I do these book to movie adaptations. I'm always open to more. If you have any suggestions, comment down below. The first one I have is it true to the book? So I read this book right before I saw a movie, or I saw the movie right after I read the book, so it was really fresh in my mind. I felt that all the major plot points the screenplay picked up on, and Stephen King actually closely worked with the screenplay and producing this movie, so I think that's why it was very accurate. It wasn't like taken by a team and then like revamped. The only thing that was extra was in the book, it's only mentioned in passing when his sheets are soiled that he says the housekeeper has to clean it, and the housekeeper probably won't say anything. But in the movie, Missy, well, she's given a name first of all, is more of a big character in the beginning, and she has speaking parts, and then also she is Hun. She hangs herself. Sorry, in the movie. Sorry, mild spoiler. And then Judd, who is a neighbor across the street, his wife Norma is a character in the book, and she actually dies. Sorry, spoiler, but she's not in the movie at all. And the reason why I think I did that is because they didn't want to have too big a cast of characters to take away from the, I guess, to add to the length of the movie. So I noticed that change. But other than that, I thought the movie adaptation was pretty accurate. Nothing was missing for me that was crucial to the plot, and nothing like excessive was added. They just swap two characters, but then they both died to achieve the same effect. The casting I thought was done quite well, especially for a time 1989. I'll put some pictures of the cast here. I thought the kid, youngest child Gage, was super cute. I had no idea how to get such a young toddler to act so well. I wonder if he's just like a really young looking older boy. If you know the answer, let me know if you're in the industry, because I thought the acting by him was really good. I thought the wife was casted older than the husband, but then I came to realize in 1989, women's style was quite different, so that's why she looked maybe a bit older than the husband. But I thought the husband looked his age. I believe the character in the book was like in his early 30s, and I believe he was in his early 30s. I thought Judd was casted well, the speaking, because has an accent in the book, was great. Yeah, no complaints. I also thought the cat Church was casted really well, and I thought the cat did a lot of great stunts as well. So no complaints. Casting was a 5 out of 5. The next category I have is aesthetics. I thought the movie, I don't know, like, I can't comment because I didn't see it when it first come out, and I grew up in the 90s, so I'm not sure what the movie, I guess the movie expectations were when you watched the movie when it came out back in 1989. But I thought the sex was fun. For me, it was super campy the way it aged. It kind of gives you that like Top Gun kind of feel, like kind of like blur, not blurry, but like softened. And the acting at parts were kind of cheesy, but I just feel like acting has evolved quite a bit from like 33 years ago. So I get it. The house was massive. Yeah, like no complaints. I thought the cemetery was done well. The way they did kind of like the mystical effects of the movie was cool. Like there were some like, I guess you would say, I don't know if it's called CGI, but there's obviously some like visual effects they had to do, and it's cheesy for me to look at now. But back then, I think if you saw that in theaters, you'd be like, "Whoa, how did they do that?" So I don't know. Aesthetics was great. Also a 5 out of 5. And the movie by itself, I think no surprise if you watched this far, is I would give it overall a 5 out of 5. I thought it was a great movie. I think it actually ages into, because it's campy now, that it's almost like a B-rated movie for nowadays standards, but I know back then it probably wasn't. And it was just really good. I really would recommend this movie. I recommend this book. I'm a Pet Sematary fan. I think I'm gonna give it some time, and I'm probably gonna watch the Pet Sematary made in 2019 because I'm really curious how they changed it since then. Like maybe it'd be a true horror movie, which might be a bit scary for me because I am really terrified of horror. But I think it'd be fun to watch because maybe horror movies will be less scary because I know exactly what's going to happen. So I think that will be interesting. The other thing I want to comment is my partner saw this movie Pet Sematary when he was quite young as a child. And there's a scene that happens. I won't spoil it because I feel like if you've seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it was still very jarring to see nowadays, even though the visual effects is very different. Like, I don't think you could do that nowadays, though it's seeming like weird, but the scene is the Achilles tendon, and that's all I'm going to say. Thank you, as always, for watching till the end of my book to movie adaptation of Pet Sematary by Stephen King, the 1989 version. I will do a review when and if I see the 2019 version. And if you've seen the movie, either adaptation, comment down below. Love to hear what you thought about it in regards to the book. And let me know if 2019 version is worth watching. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.